Welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on March the 7th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, to start off, we will take a look at our Forex factory calendar here, and let me bring that up. Here we go. All right, so in terms of the main news today, didn't really have a whole lot going on. We did have, we had Dudley speaking, and we had, the biggest thing really was RBA Governor Lau speaking. And essentially what he said was that the next move out of RBA won't be any of cutting of interest rates. It will likely be raising interest rates, but we don't really have a timeline as to when that may happen. And now, or just a little while ago, 45 minutes ago, we had GDP out of Australia that was slightly negative, and as a result of that, we saw Australian dollar drop. So that's what happened today. Coming up for Wednesday here, we have Japanese data at midnight, and then not a whole lot in the European sessions or the London session. So sometimes when there's no data, really the market can be quite dead, like we saw today, till the whole denuclearization stuff came out. Market was pretty dead. So if that happens, we may not get any opportunity to take a trade. So just be prepared for that. There isn't a whole lot of news coming out. So what we do have in the New York session would be the ADP non-farm payroll. So this is the non-farm payroll week, which is essentially every month we get the non-farm payroll number. So here we have ADP. ADP is the biggest provider of non-farm related payroll services. So as a result of that, they have a lot of data that they collect, which ties into non-farm payrolls that come out on Friday. So this one, it is important number. So right now, the forecast is at 199K compared to the previous 234. So it looks like the growth in jobs has decreased a bit. And if there is a big change from what's expected, there will be a big reaction. Otherwise, not so much. Market's likely going to wait for non-farm payroll coming up on Friday. So Canada is where the focus will be. We have trade balance numbers for Canada, and right now we are looking at negative $2.5 billion. We also have Bank of Canada rate statement. So at this point, not looking for Canada to raise rates. So right now, there's a lot of uncertainty for Canada. We saw that, or we heard that President Trump announced that there would be tariffs on steel and aluminum. And as a result of that, there was a concern for Canadian economy because Canada is the biggest trade partner, for Canada, US is the biggest trade partner, and Canada exports a lot of stuff to the US, and steel and being one of those things. Now, with these tariffs coming into place, that would be bad for Canadian economy, especially with oil being low. However, there were more comments around how Canada may not, or Canada and Mexico may not face these tariffs if they could reach NAFTA, which is the free trade agreement between the three countries. However, the negotiations have not been going well. So at this point, we don't know what's going on. So just be cautious with trading the Canadian dollar. With Bank of Canada, I'm not expecting them to raise rates at this time. They have to be worried about the Canadian economy. And they have basically, their stance was neutral after the last interest rate hike they did. But with the concern with the Canadian economy, that stance is likely to stay neutral. So their commentary is not, I'm not expecting it to be overly hawkish for Canadian dollars. So I'm not seeing a big a drop in dollar CAD. but I'm not seeing a big rise in dollar CAD either. So all the concerns around tariffs are taking a backseat right now because the focus is back on NAFTA now. So if the NAFTA cannot be negotiated, then we'll kind of come back to the tariff situation. But for now, the focus will be on the NAFTA. So basically, Bank of Canada not looking for them to raise rates, and they are likely to stay pat and stay neutral. So that's what I'm expecting. All right, so going into, so this one here, current account numbers for Japanese yen will be important here. They will have an impact on yen for sure, even though it's yellow news. This will be important for our yen. Trade balance numbers for Australia will be important as well. All right, so let's move on to our charts. So we had a bullish pattern here for euro, saw a bullish move. Now we are into the next level of support and resistance. The candlestick here is also very bullish. So yesterday we were looking at the support and resistance level at 123.60 level, and we were looking to see if the price would stay below, because if the price stayed below, we could see price move lower, but it has blown through it. Bullish candle close for the day. Now we're looking for a further move to the upside here. But again, we are into previous support and resistance, so we have to be mindful. For euro to push up higher, we need to see a close on the other side, 124.34 level, which is on the other side of this pin. So for now, the daily candle close is bullish, and we're looking for price to go up higher here. And in this case, need to see a break of 124.35 level. And once we see that, then looking for price to move up higher. So that's the bias. So bullish for euro dollar. And in this case, what we could see, or what we are likely to see, is a pullback back into our pivot point and then a move up, or we could see a pullback back into this S1 level at 1.2350-ish level, and then see the price go up higher. So those are the two scenarios that I'm looking for. The bias for the day is bullish, so just looking for price to pull back and then move up higher. So the best place to take a long will either be on the pullback into pivot point, which is 123.80, or back into this S1 area, which is 123.50 level. So those are the two levels that I'm watching. So bias for euro dollar is bullish. Pound dollar here, pound is bullish here as well. So we do have a higher close for the day. We have a higher high. But again, it looks like it's kind of losing the momentum now. And Brexit will weigh on British pound here as well. But overall, it is still bullish. And in terms of the next move, looking for price to go up further into 140 level. And if you take a look at the 1 hour perspective, this is where we are. So we could see, in this case, the best level would be to take a long from either the pivot point, which is this support and resistance level here, or we could see a drop into S1, which is also an important support and resistance level. See how price reacted here and reacted here on the other side. So this is what I mean by pullback. So when I say we may get a pullback, so generally what happens is price will go through and then pull back into the same support and resistance level, then go up further. So that's the type of scenario I'm expecting. First level that I would watch out for would be 1.38. Actually, let me just draw this here. So first one will be 138.75, and then we are looking at let me just go here. So 1.3876 here and 1.3820 level are the two pullbacks levels I'm looking for. Overall, the bias is to the upside. Aussie dollar here. Aussie dollar reacted on the negative news. The candlestick close here was very, very bullish. Now, do keep in mind the bullishness came from the flows into risk appetite. So, like we talked about, North Korea essentially said that they're willing to talk if they will not have any kind of negative impact, and they're willing to denuclearize. Now, when those kind of comments come in, whether it actually comes to fruition or not is, we don't know. That's going to happen in the future. But for now, when they come out with these kind of comments, it shakes the market. So risk appetite sets in, which means the safe haven currencies like US dollar, Japanese yen, Swiss franc will drop. And then you will see other currencies go up against them. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw Japanese yen dropped, dollar dropped. As a result of that, everything went up against the US dollar, including Aussie dollar here. So we saw this big move to the upside. Now, very, very bullish candle close. Do keep in mind, from technical perspective, we did have a bullish signal here, and we saw follow through on that. Now, very bullish candle close. So the next one would be another bullish a move to the upside, 78.94, so about 7,900. But we saw negative data come out, and as a result of that, we are seeing the move to the downside. What happens here? So this inefficient move has now been filled, and looks like price is bouncing at that S1 level. So in this case, we could see price turn around from this level, which is our previous support and resistance level, and we could just see the price go up, which will be the base case scenario. I'm looking for price to move up higher here. But right now, it looks like there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So I would recommend keeping the position sizes small. So I'm harping on this, but I have seen this environment before where it's just that market sentiment driving things, and there's really no real direction in the market at this point. It's just kind of shuttling back and forth based on the comments that are coming out. So in this kind of market direction, we could be right, and yet we could lose. So that's something to keep in mind. So for now, in terms of the pullback, looks like price is reacting at this S1 level. So I will expect price to go up higher. If the price breaks through this previous high, which is at 78.35, then it could continue higher into 78.94 level, which is about 7,900 level. But again, it will be important to see the break of this. Now, if price does not break this, so we'll have to see what happens in the London session. If it does one of these, I would be looking for a short, and this will be a counter trend trade. Depending on what the trend you're looking at, because right now the immediate trend is to the upside, but overall trend is to the downside, right? So if you take a look at this level here, it coincides with our downtrend line, and it's also a support and resistance level. So 78.35 or 45 level is the one that I would be watching to see how price reacts at that level. If it stays below this level, then I'm going to take the trade to the downside. If it goes on the other side, then I'm looking for price to go up higher. Based on the daily candle close, that's very bullish, so we could see price move up higher. New Zealand dollar here. New Zealand dollar was actually quite strong today, considering everything. So this is a bullish candle close, and with this one, I'm actually looking for a move to the upside. 73.50 will be the target to the upside here. And this is where we are sitting right now. It's already pulled into the pivot point. It's holding above the pivot point. Did not fill this inefficiency. So Australian dollar is weaker compared to New Zealand dollar. So Aussie New Zealand dollar trade is a short trade at this point because New Zealand dollar is stronger. So with this one, I'm looking for a further move to the upside. What we're seeing here is we have established a peak here, and we have this type of head and shoulders pattern right here. Price moved up, pulled back, and another move. Excuse me. So that's what I'm looking for in terms of New Zealand dollar here. Bullishness, and next move target will be 73.50 to the upside. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD has been interesting. We saw a break above the previous high, but then we saw this railroad reversal. And now we have Bank of Canada coming up, which will add volatility to this. But with the whole tariff situation taking a backseat, Canadian dollar has benefited from that. And also oil was actually stronger today. And as a result, we saw dollar CAD drop. So with this one, we have this reversal signal. Price has closed inside the previous level here. So we have basically come back in. Now we're seeing a pullback. With this, the bias will be to the downside, and the next target will be 1.2820 level. So this is what we have here. We had a double top, price dropped, pulled back into R1, and now I'm looking for price to go back into 128.20, which is our S1 level, as well as it's the support and resistance level here. So dollar CAD, my bias is to the downside, especially with the whole tariff thing going on. The whole market sentiment may be shifting. So, and if Bank of Canada comes in neutral, then this could drop, because we do see, especially with the oil going up and the tariffs taking a backseat, this would likely come down. So 128.20 would be the level to watch. So biases to the downside. Dollar Swiss franc here, we were bullish on this, price closed above, and now we have price kind of pulling back into the previous high and looking for price to push up higher here. So we are out of this range that price had been sitting in for quite some time. So now looking for another move to the upside. Target would be 1.1711 level here. So basically we are into the pullback here and then looking for price to move up higher. So this is sort of the move that I'm looking for. So bias is to the upside for Euro Swiss franc. Target is 1.1711 level. Pound Swiss franc here. Pound Swiss franc, we have had a bullish candle close. So looking for another move to the upside. The target would be 1.3140 level, which is back into this previous support and resistance level here. In this case as well, we've had a bullish candle close. So what I'm looking for here would be a pullback and then a push to the upside, 1.3141 level. So that's what we are looking at, biases to the upside for pound Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc here. At this one, we do have a bullish candle close, but the dollar itself is struggling, especially with Gary Cohn leaving, or at least his plans on resigning. That will be hard on the dollar. So all the dollar crosses may be in jeopardy a bit. But here what we have is we are in this sideways move here. So we have a double top and we're just going sideways, not really going anywhere too fast. So in this case, we have this 94.20 level. So as long as price stays below 94.20, it could drop. So this is the previous support and resistance level. So we saw price go into this and then we are seeing this. So the target here will be moved back into the bottom here. And just this is choppy right now. So 94.50 will be the target to, 93.50 would be the target to the downside, which is not a big move in itself. And it could go down into 93.20. So my bias for this is to the downside as long as price stays below 94.20. Pound yen. Pound yen is at an interesting support and resistance level. So we went into 148, tested the previous support and resistance level, and then we saw a drop from there. Now it's looking weak. So we have this big pin on the side, which suggests that we could see further drop here. And in terms of the target, we did test the bottom here, which is an important support and resistance level. If price breaks lower, then we could see a further drop here into 145.20 level. But again, this is an important support and resistance level at 146.50. So we'll have to see how price reacts at 146.50. it has pulled, or it's trying to pull back higher. This one, it would be nice when we come to the London session if we could get a pullback into the pivot point right about here, and then we could, get an opportunity to take this short. I would love to take this trade, but again, we will have to see how price reacts. So right now it's pulling back a bit. I'm not overly bullish on this. I am still bearish on the yen crosses. So right now, my bias is to the downside. First target 146.50, and then I'm looking for retest of this 145.20 level to the downside, and I will look for some opportunities in the London session. It's too late now. It's too late to get into this. So this was a nice support and resistance level here to take this retracement. It has filled this inefficiency. It's back into this previous level where we took off from. So now it could go up and then drop back again, which will be the scenario that I would love to see. So biases to the downside for pound yen. Euro yen, similar scenario here. We did see price go into the previous support and resistance level, which was quite strong, right over here at 132.00. From there, it has pulled back. We did have a bullish candle close, but again, we were into resistance. So with this one, I would look to see what happens here at, so 130.100 level is the one that it has reacted at. It's pulled back from here. My ideal scenario would be that price comes into this previous support and resistance level. So if you get a pullback into that level, then I could, we could get an opportunity to do this. So hopefully we'll get that. It looks like it's pushing back up now, and it won't completely reverse. So the thing with inefficient moves, this is an inefficient move, is that they get filled. And this is what we saw here. Price went up, came back right down, and now it's just in no man's land. So we'll see how this plays out in the morning. If we get this opportunity, there may be an opportunity to short it here or even into 131.80 level. But again, we'll have to see. Daily candle close is bullish, but I'm not overly bullish on any of the yen crosses. I think there's too much of knee-jerk reaction there. Dollar yen, bearish candle close for the day, and as such, like we saw, went into the previous support and resistance area, dropped from there, and now it went and tested, and then I'm looking for it to drop into 104.30 level, which is this previous support and resistance. So the bias is to the downside for dollar yen. Aussie yen here, Aussie yen, similar scenario. We saw a pullback into previous support and resistance level right into here. Price is staying below that, and as long as price stays below that, I am looking for a bearish move. We could get one of these. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens in the London session. For now, this looks like it could drop further. So overall trend is to the downside. This looks like it was a pullback into previous level, and we could drop further. So my bias still remains to the downside. CAD yen, this was a trade that was quite dear to me. Unfortunately, I had to get out of this because I was not looking to take a loss. The stop had already been moved to break even, so we would have gotten stopped out at break even. So I decided to take a few pips before it got there. But overall here, the bias still remains to the downside, and it basically reversed entire move that it had done. Unfortunately for us, we're not in this anymore. Again, we'll have to see. Bias is still to the downside here. I'm going to see what happens in the New York session. The ideal scenario would be we get a pullback into the pivot point here, something like this, and then a drop. So I'm going to look out for that. This is the level I was watching yesterday. And as we can see, price just went up and then came back down. So I'm going to look for the same level today again, 84.15 level, and see if price comes into that level and if there's an opportunity to short it again. But the bias still remains to the downside. All right, so that's all I have. Any questions? All right, so I'm not seeing any questions. So you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you again in the London session at 3 a.m. Eastern, bright and early. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in the London session. Bye for now.